global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned. Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. We are so excited to have you again. And last week we had reported that the president had sought the National Assembly, that's the House of Representatives, approval for a fresh loan of about $5.513 billion reportedly to fund the 2020 budget deficit, critical projects, and to support some state. But right now, an organization called Socio-Economic Right and Accountability Project, SERAP, had sent a Freedom of Information request to President Muhammadu Buhari to provide spending details of all loans obtained by his government since May 29, 2015, when he came on board as the president of Nigeria. According to the information, Buhari is expected to include details and also location of projects on which the loan have been spent on. They have issued a 7-day ultimatum, and that if they do not get a reply, it shall take all appropriate legal action against the government. The organization also urged Buhari to send up an independent audit of all loans to resolve any allegation of mismanagement and corruption, and to publish spending details of loan obtained by successive government since 1999, list of countries and bodies that have given the loan, and specific repayment plan. SERAP, in a FOI, that's Freedom of Information request, signed by Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, expressed concern that while governments since 1999 have borrowed money in the name of Nigeria and its citizens, much of the funds have reportedly been mismanaged, stolen, or squandered. The government warned that opacity in the spending of loans will continue to have negative impact on the fundamental interests of citizens. They stated that instead taking more loans and increasing Nigerian debt burden to fund the opulent lifestyles of former state governors receiving life pensions, Buhari should cut the cost of governance. The group lamented the massive and growing national debt and other issues like quality education, adequate healthcare, clean water, and regular electricity supply. SERAP told Buhari to promptly instruct Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Offense-Related Commission, ICPC, and Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, to monitor the spending of all loans obtained since the assumption of his office in May 2015. Copied in the FOI request are Abubakar Malami, who is the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Zainab Ahmed, who is the Minister of Finance, and Ms. Patient Onia, who is the Director General of Debt Management Office. Wow, this is a great one because Nigerians are overly not comfortable with the way loans are being taken, especially when we look at the number of years these loans are going to be paid. It makes us really, really scared. Now, taking cognizance of some of the loans that have been taken, the one that is have already been approved by Senate, but yet is still on the table of the House of Representatives, about $22.7 billion. And then they had already approved that of 850 billion naira loan. Now the president is requesting for $5.513 billion loan. And I think this tree had triggered the interest of Nigerians. And I believe that something is going to be done to see how this can be curtailed. Now, first of all, I just want to talk about what they have put forward to the president. That's the Freedom of Information request. And the Freedom of Information request, it's actually traceable to the Freedom of Information Act, which we all know plays an important role in keeping government transparent and accountable, and has been used to expose a wide range of government misconduct and waste, along with threats to public health and safety. While FOIA, that's the Freedom of Information Act, is intended to increase transparency, it doesn't provide access to all government documents. But anyone that is related to the public, especially like in the area of loans like that, any organization, or especially human rights organization, they have that right, to place a demand for there to be proper information in respect to a lot of things that the government. Now it's really troubling to know that the government is requesting for another 5.5 billion naira, because the statement that or the underlying reason why this loan is being requested for is actually to fund the budget of 2020, and also to help some state government. Now, but the big question had always been, how are we going to repay back this loan? And then how is the government going to handle the case of 2021 budget? Are we still going to borrow to take care of these things? And that's why I begin to wonder some of the information we have heard thus far from the government, especially talking about revenue generation. For example, the internal generated revenue, or the Federal Inland Revenue Service, their job, the last time that they reported how much they have been able to make for the government, it was looking at what FIRS have been able to bring in as return. It's been reasonable, though not enough to take care of some of the expenses, especially capital projects that the country is looking at. For example, in 2015, when President Muhammadu Buhari came on board, they targeted about 4.5 billion. That's to bring in 4.5 billion, but they were able to bring in 3.7 billion naira. In 2016, targeted 4.2, and they brought in 3.3. 2017, they targeted 4.8, and they brought in 4.0 billion naira. And in 2018, they targeted 6.7 billion naira. They brought in 5.3 billion naira. So when it comes to revenue generation, that's come to especially taxation, I think that the federal government have not been doing badly. But then it's important to look at other avenues where the government can use to generate more revenue for itself. For example, public-private partnership is overly important, because if the government wants to run the whole show by themselves, they won't be able to make out money as it should be. For example, now if you look at the only place where we are totally depending on is that of oil. We're just looking at oil, and there had been several warnings. I could still remember when during the 2019 period of election, when the vice president were given opportunity to talk, Tr0uble, who was vice president under PDP platform, kept on resounding this, that it's very wrong at this level where we are, for us to keep on looking at just oil revenue, that it wasn't reasonable, that the government should begin to, see how they can pull resources from different avenues more, because a time will come that this oil money that we're talking about will not be coming in as expected. It was as if he had an idea that come 2020 there will be coronavirus, and we can see what is happening right now. These oil prices have fully dropped, and according to the information we had, that so many barrels of oil are already on the high sea. They can't sell it right now. Oil companies are retrenching, and I think these are the reasons why they want to borrow. But the problem is borrowing money right now for capital projects like fixing road doesn't make any sense, because if you must borrow money, it should be to generate more revenue. You understand? And the past loans that we have heard the government, that they have borrowed, it has not been detailedly or apparently be outlined for the publics to see. Because if you are saying you are accountable or you are transparent, it's very important for you to bring these things, put it in a public domain where everyone will have access. Okay, this is how much that we had borrowed. This was expended in social ministry. This was expending under social project and all of that, so that the people won't have to question so much, and also so that fake news about the incompetence of your government will not be flying and accepted by the people. These are some of the things. This transparency will help, to stop in our society. And I think that's what these guys are trying to do right now, because what we've been hearing is just like grapevine. People have been talking about the fact that they are getting this money, they are getting loans from different countries to misappropriate and to mismanage, and not just to mismanage, and to also loot it. That's why there's so much demand on the public, that there should be transparency. What are you using these monies for? Those are some of the things that have, pushed SERAP to wake up and put up this freedom of information request before Buhari. And don't forget that these guys are not jokers. I'm telling you, talking about these SERAP guys, I could still remember that they were the same people that took the government to court and demanded that all the monies, all the funds, that all the salaries or pension that have been paid to the governors, retired governors who are currently being engaged in one job or the other should be stopped. All those fabulous amount they have been receiving. And guess what? That's not where it should just stop. It should also go as far as cutting down how the huge amount of money that the lawmakers are receiving. Their monies are too huge. Cut it down. When you cut it down, at least we'll have a lot to save, and also see how you can trace out this issue of ghost workers, because there are still people. There's a particular case currently, and it has to do with the Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly, where he had more than 19 accounts, where he has been, is it a 19 account or even more than that, where he had been using to confiscate government money. I think the case is under investigation right now. Now, these are some of the things that should be investigated, so that the government can stop this whole issue of borrowing so much. It's not interesting any longer. It's really making us, begin to think about our future, how protected the future of our children are. However, that's where we are going to leave it. Go to our conversation.